I was hanging out with some buddies, including a really close friend of mine, very successful stuntman. He was talking about what he does. One of my other friends at the party was like, "You're also a stuntman too, right?" I'd been paid for some things, but not at the level that, you know, the pros would get paid. I remember sitting there thinking like, oh, I mean, I'm not a stuntman? And then my buddy Garrett looks at me and goes, "Yeah, he's a stuntman."
Action!
End of the day is what determines that factor is it's not necessarily what you work on, but when you make that decision that this is the career path that you want to follow and this is your end goal, that's when you become a professional. Got my first opportunity on Black Lightning for the CW. Was blessed to be able to work on Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. Got to do some creature work on Shazam 2. And then I would say most recently I worked on Iron Claw. I had a blast on that because pro wrestling is definitely it's a passion of mine. I do stuff that can hurt, but the goal is not to get hurt. Bumps, bruises, scrapes, tightness, aches and pains, a little bit of like scratches and stuff. Those things are bound to happen, but you want to avoid getting like a broken leg. I've done fire burns before. I've worked with teams on letting people like full body and all this stuff. I've been through the process so many times before, and I trust my teams that I work with that it's not a thing that's really kind of anxiety inducing. Some days it's the easiest job on set and all you're doing is standing up and picking up a pool cue before a bar fight. And then some other days you're sitting there just hitting the pavement or having to fall off something and land into something numerous times.
And 3, 2, 1, go!
I'm half Filipino. My mom is from the Gillian. My mom did a really good job at, despite the fact that we didn't really speak Tagalog at home, she did a good job at making sure we had connection to our culture and to our people. She would take us on Friday nights to like Filipino school, essentially is what I call it. We would learn dance, we would learn history, work on some Tagalog, we'd be singing. I feel like being FilAm, there's kind of like a big pane of glass right there. Because we have enough of the culture to like understand enough, but also like a lot of us aren't from the homeland. We want to have that connection and that connection to my Filipino culture. And then the fact that I was also like, at the time I was studying Hapkido, boxing, Muay Thai, a little bit of Jiu-Jitsu. So I was already really into martial arts as well. I'm like, well, Filipino martial arts, let's put it together. Number 2 from this side. Yeah.
This side.
You can't swing a stick if I break the hand holding the stick, okay? But this also leads into, if he throws that one strike, I'm eventually just sidestepping and going for the temple. My guru, Jamar Carceliar, he's from Cebu. He grew up learning from some of the OGs in the art, and he's been at this, but he also learned it from the source. Like Cebu is kind of one of the big capitals of Filipino martial arts. The Born series was definitely a major influence on that. Jeff Amata, very distinguished Filipino martial artist. He's learned from some of the best in the industry. And you know, he employed a lot of Filipino martial arts into the fight choreography. There's a lot of hand trapping, improvised weapons and stuff. So these days, Filipino martial arts is definitely one of the key skills you have to learn as a stunt performer. 7. So you start to see where a lot of this hand stuff comes in, and you're learning basically the same general movements. Because I've been studying Filipino martial arts, I actually got that job because the coordinator needed someone that could do the basics on a very high level with control because I was fighting the actor. The coordinator, she didn't want to give anyone just any knife. She hired me specifically because she knew I practiced knife fighting and stick fighting. So she knew that was something that I could do in my sleep. That's kind of where the Filipino martial arts come handy for me in my career as far as being on screen. I've always been interested in stories. As stunt performers, we are storytellers. Just using our movement, telling nonverbal stories. It's definitely a skill that I'm still working on using and trying to develop in my own performances. I will always be a stunt performer, but more importantly, I want to be a storyteller. I take great enjoyment out of knowing I've worked on films where some guy's just worked 60 hours for the week. He wants to take his family out and just kind of forget life for 2 hours and just enjoy time with his kids. I eventually want to be able to like produce and direct and kind of start telling my own stories and be able to get people together so we can tell those stories.
It might be you. Or if it's not you, it's somebody else. So if you don't know who it is, it's probably you.